Welcome back to new video by Clipvolt, a slow, deliberate pan over an aged, faded black and white photograph of a rural Bangladeshi landscape from the early 1970s. Perhaps a village path, a river, fields, the sense of a quiet, pastoral life about to be violently disrupted. No direct faces at first, just atmosphere and setting the mood. Unflinchingly in front of the fight for Bangladesh, their courage wasn't always loud. It wasn't always about a rifle or a uniform, but it was the silent, unyielding strength that held our world together when it threatened to tear apart. It was the resilience that fueled the very breath of a new nation. Then, a quick visual of a hidden compartment in a wall or under floorboards, where a radio, a message scroll, or even small arms might be concealed. We often speak of history in grand strokes. Epic battles won, nations forged in fire, celebrated heroes carved into stone. Every day, the fear was a constant, gnawing, knot in her stomach, emphasized the secrecy and urgency. Closing parenthesis, yet Fatma's seemingly ordinary home became an extraordinary lifeline. She would cook extra rice, not for her own dwindling family, but for the hungry, exhausted freedom fighters who would arrive under the cloak of deepest darkness. These weren't just meals, they were acts of defiance, sustenance for the soul of the resistance. But sometimes, the deepest truths, the most profound acts of courage, lie hidden in the quiet corners, in the hushed whispers of forgotten lives. Still no clear face, maintaining a sense of universality. Focus on the resilience in their faces, particularly the women. Soldiers arrived unexpectedly, their presence a cold dread. Across the border, in the burgeoning refugee camps, millions of our people sought refuge from the brutality, and who, amidst the chaos and despair, became the very heart and soul of these temporary cities. The women, they nursed the sick with what little they had, found scraps of food for starving children, taught lessons under open skies, and kept alive the embers of hope through lullabies and shared memories. Imagine a Menabegum, a grandmother whose entire family had been scattered, many lost during the harrowing journey to the camp. Yet, she became a matriarch, a beacon of solace to countless orphan children and grieving mothers. She didn't fight with weapons, but with boundless compassion, an unwavering spirit, and an iron will to simply be there for others. Fatma, her heart pounding against her ribs like a trapped bird, had mere minutes to hide two wounded fighters under a pile of straw in the corner, disguising fresh bloodstains with quickly scattered dirt and hay. But for too long, the vital contributions of women have remained largely in the shadows, their immense sacrifices often relegated to footnotes, or mentioned only through the lens of perhaps a gentle, tired smile as she watches children play nearby, a symbol of future hope. Her voice remained miraculously steady, her face a mask of calm as she met the soldiers at the door with feigned ignorance, offering them water, diverting their suspicion with polite, evasive answers. The sheer courage it took to maintain that facade, to stare danger directly in the eye, while protecting everything she held dear. It's almost unimaginable. Their acts of quiet defiance, their relentless perseverance, and their unwavering support were absolutely crucial to our victory, and the dream of Bangladesh didn't perish in the squalor of the camps. These women built communities from nothing, demonstrating that resistance wasn't solely about fighting. It was profoundly about sustaining life, preserving culture, and nurturing the very spirit of a nation that refused to die. It's about understanding the true, multifaceted nature of our independence struggle, to seeking out their stories, sharing their sacrifices, and ensuring that their spirit is etched permanently into the heart and soul of our history and our future. They are not just the unsung heroes, they are the true architects of our nation. It's about honoring the complete picture of what it took to become Bangladesh. Let us know their stories in the comments below. If this video resonated with you, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear this powerful message, and subscribe for more stories from Bangladesh's rich and inspiring past. And crucially, it's about inspiring future generations with tales of resilience, raw bravery, and the immense, often underestimated, power of every individual, regardless of their perceived role. She wasn't carrying a rifle, but she was facing down the enemy, not on a battlefield, but in her own home, every single day. Today, I want to share some of those whispers, stories etched, not in textbooks, but in the very soul of our land, in the hearts of those who lived through its darkest hours. She'd listen intently to their whispered intel, committing names, routes, and dangers to memory, knowing that a single slip could mean discovery, torture, death. Her mud-walled home, seemingly insignificant, was transformed, a safe haven, a clandestine command center, a vital medical outpost. Visual, transition to a close-up on hands, perhaps an older woman's hands, delicately working on a piece of traditional Nakshikantha fabric, or carefully turning the pages of an old, tattered family album. The sound of distant, ominous footsteps, or a dog barking, subtly. Then, a quick flash of a man in simple attire, looking tired but determined, being offered a cup of water by a blurred female hand. Before March 1971, her life revolved around her family, her fields, the rhythm of the seasons. Then, the war erupted. Her husband and her brothers, like so many others, made the agonizing decision to join the Mukti Bahini. They left, carrying the hopes and fears of their families on their shoulders, leaving behind an even heavier burden for those who stayed. Voiceover. These are the stories of the women of 1971, the mothers, sisters, daughters, who stood bravely beside, staunchly behind. Visual. A gentle dissolve to an image of a simple rural Bangladeshi home, maybe a mud-walled hut, a small courtyard. Voiceover. Imagine a young woman, let's call her Fatma, in a small unsuspecting village. Visual. A low-angle shot, implying hiding, maybe a feet walking past a window. Voiceover. Every night, the air vibrated with distant gunfire, sometimes chillingly close. Visual montage. Hands quickly patching, torn clothing, a blurred image of someone tending to a simple wound, a quiet, intense conversation in shadows. Voiceover. She'd patch their tattered clothes with nimble fingers, clean their wounds with whatever rudimentary supplies she could find, often just boiled water and scraps of cloth. Visual. A close-up on a pair of eyes, looking intensely watchful, determined, but also weary. Voiceover. One moonless night, the chilling sound of military boots shattered the silence. Visual. Transition to a scene depicting the mass exodus of people. Families walking along dusty roads, crossing rivers, arriving at makeshift shelters in India. Voiceover. Beyond the direct lines of fire, there were the stories of quiet endurance, of women who bore the unbearable weight of survival, not just for themselves, but for an entire generation. Visual. A woman soothing a crying child, another woman gently tending to a frail elder, hands sorting through meager food rations, children gathered around an older woman who is telling a story or teaching. Voiceover. They didn't just escape, they created life amidst desolation. Visual. Close-up on an older woman's face, etched with lines of hardship but illuminated by kind, resilient eyes. Voiceover. Her strength wasn't just physical, it was an emotional shield, protecting the fragile spirits of those around her, ensuring that humanity. Visual. Transition to a more abstract visual, perhaps the Bangladeshi flag being gently raised, or a montage of various historical photos depicting diverse roles of women, protesters, intellectuals, medics, farmers, all contributing in different ways. Voiceover. The tapestry of our liberation war is rich and complex, woven with threads of valor from every segment of society. Visual. A powerful visual that combines past and present, perhaps a historical photo dissolving into a modern image of women in Bangladesh, pursuing education, careers, contributing to society, symbolizing the fruits of past sacrifice. Voiceover. They were mothers and sisters, yes, but they were also spies, combatants, healers, organizers, intelligence gatherers, and vocal advocates for freedom, using pens as powerfully as others used rifles. Visual. The narrator is back on screen, looking directly at the camera, with a sincere and heartfelt expression. Holes. Recognizing these forgotten figures isn't just about correcting a historical oversight. Visual. A final, inspiring shot of a historical monument, like the National Martyrs Memorial, perhaps bathed in warm light, or a diverse group of people, symbolizing unity and remembrance. Host. Let us commit to remembering them. Host. Who are some other forgotten heroes, male or female, from Bangladesh's history that you think deserve recognition?